Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Ich bin Dan Goldberg at Digging for Gold. And the reason I started this in German is because my good friend, new friend, Ali Rogers, speaks German.
Yeah, ambition.
Ambition. And we were talking about that before we started recording. Welcome to Digging for Gold. This is episode 11. And I want you all, before I forget, don't forget when you watch our podcast to subscribe, hit that subscribe button below. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Ali.
Yeah.
Actually, only a little bit because I'm going to let Ali talk about what she does. She has a company called Rouse,
Yep.
right?
That's right.
And you work with a lot of people,
Yeah.
helping them grow. You're a professor, adjunct professor, correct?
Yeah.
And you do some really neat things to help people grow, build, and learn. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Rouse and the other things you do?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited I love meeting new friends. And so
Me
I'm
too.
so grateful that you and I connected and had some conversation and now I'm here and I got
great.
to learn even more about you, which I love.
But, I'm going to interject one thing. This is how Ali and I met. And this tells you about volunteering.
Yes.
We were asked to be on a panel with a third person who you'll see in an upcoming podcast for junior achievement.
Yep.
For students who were finishing junior high school or middle school, whichever you call it, and were entering high school. And we were asked to sit with them and have them ask us questions at my old alma mater, Central High School. So that's how Ali and I met. So it's important to volunteer to meet people. I
Yeah.
turn it back to you, Ali.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the volunteering. I actually sit on the board of the Southeastern Pennsylvania Junior Achievement affiliate, and I've been on the board for a few years. And I was actually a junior achievement student when I was in high school.
So you're an alum.
I am an alum, and I've always been intrigued, fascinated, and supportive of the work that they do. And so they got a new CEO a few years ago, and they asked me to join the board, and I've loved every minute of it, contributing to the resources that we develop for young people in this region, how we move, how we innovate, and I just really love having the opportunity to volunteer in a lot of different capacities with them. So it's a great thing.
Junior achievements all over the country, right?
They are all over the country.
Because we're in Philadelphia here.
Yep.
So you know that. But
Yeah.
you can volunteer for junior achievement wherever you're watching this.
Yeah,
in
and
the
they
US.
focus on financial literacy and wealth building and entrepreneurship, and so it's just an amazing organization.
It's great.
Yeah.
And what does Rouse do?
Oh yeah, what does Rouse do? So currently, what Rouse does is a few different things: a little bit of consulting, a little bit of curating, and a lot of coaching.
Explain curating.
Yeah, curating. So our focus primarily is on building leaders for the future. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that a lot of times folks who are in a leadership capacity in a variety of spaces don't really know what it means to be able to take care of themselves, especially when they are leading projects that are meant to change the world, right? If they focus on social impact in any kind of way, a lot of times they burn themselves out. And so the curating piece is companies will or organizations will hire me to curate some type of experience. So a wellness retreat, a staff retreat, a board retreat, right? That infuses some wellness properties as well as some learning properties in it. And so some people have asked, are you an event planner? And I'm like, no. Event planner, I think, is very concise in that it's about what does the space look like and what's the ambiance that you create when people come into a space. The curation is really more about how do we create programming that's going to support the development of these folks, allow them to build capacity to be healthier, make sure that they are practicing mental wellness techniques, and bringing in other facilitators. So figuring out who are those voices and faces that need to be in the space to help execute on whatever that is.
Got it. And sometimes you do it inside an event that an event planner planned.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely. And then in terms of the consulting, I say a little bit because we started off primarily doing consulting work with nonprofit organizations in Philadelphia. One of the things that I realized, and I knew, like, you know how you know something for a really long time? I knew that my passion was coaching, and I was doing more consulting than coaching. And one of the things, I even heard you talk about this, for as we grow and we learn more things about ourselves, I really realized that I needed to lean more into the things that really brought me joy, and the coaching is what really brings me joy.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's important. It's
Yeah.
important to live your joy,
Yep.
your passion.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, I've said this before. I know some people that work their butts off, make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and are not happy.
Yeah. That was me. That was
Really?
me, Dan. Yeah. I mean, I had a really long career in public education. As an executive, I led really large teams, mostly focused throughout my career on preparing young people for the future, right? Like, what does life after high school look like? How do you build the on ramps and off ramps to what your career is? How do you build a career ladder? Those kinds of things. And a few years ago, I realized that while that work was really interesting and I was very knowledgeable, and in some ways or spaces, folks probably considered me an expert because I had done the work for so long, it wasn't the work that really brought me joy. And so I did this exercise, Dan. You probably heard about it, and I know you'll appreciate it, where I took about 3 months. And every day I went home after work and I jotted down in my journal, not a long entry, just what brought me joy that day. What was the thing that really warmed my heart? And after about 3 months, I went back and I looked through it. And you know what it showed up? Was that every single time that I wrote down an entry, it was about the opportunity I had to coach someone, when someone was sitting on the couch in my office and we were working through a problem or building strategy together, or I was helping them build some capacity for their professional or personal life. Those were the things that I wrote in my journal entry. And I knew it's time.
Wow.
It's time. And I literally went into I'm going to tell you, this is a funny story. Maybe 2022. I was sitting around the table with my children around the holidays, and I was complaining about work, like this, I was just complaining, right? I was just letting it off. And they were like, you know how the young people are. All of my children now are in their mid-20s, early 30s. And they were like, why do you work there? Like, you've done so many things in your life. Why do you work there? And I was like, wait, I don't know. Like, I can't answer. Let me think about it.
Right.
About 2 weeks later, I went to my husband and I said, I think I'm quitting my job.
Wow.
And he was like, okay. Like, he was trying to, like, be supportive, but also scared at the same time. Like, his eyes got big. And he was like, okay, what does that mean? He was kind of like that. But I went into work and I gave my 2-week notice.
Wow. And what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was the deputy chief for post-secondary readiness in the school district of Philadelphia.
Wow. So you had reached a pretty high position in the Philadelphia School District.
Yep. I led a team of 5 offices, close to 150 people.
Wow.
And I mean, when folks found out that I gave my notice, they were like, wait, what's happening? Like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. If I jump, the net will appear. What I know is this is not the space where I feel the joy that I want to feel.
Wow.
And I will figure it out. And if I jump, and I just kind of leaned into it. I had already had the business set up because I've always had a business for some reason, because that's who I am. And so I've decided to just lean into the business.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because there's one other person I know that said the same thing.
Really?
Yeah. And it was interesting listening to that. It happened to be my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she said, basically the same thing.
Uh-huh.
She had this
Mm-hmm.
job that wasn't bringing her joy,
Yep.
and she just left.
Yep.
And now
Yeah.
you have her house.
I have Rouse. And it brings me joy every day. I mean, I think you and I talked about when we were on the panel together, when we were speaking to the young people about the amount of work and time and energy that it requires to be an entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you said something recently that was like, it's not hard, it's not difficult, but it's not easy, or something
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
right? And while the operational components of running a business may not always be very exciting, the work that I get to do as a result of those things is definitely what brings me joy every day.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've said this before on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Being an entrepreneur, which is what you are,
Yeah.
it's sort of a serial entrepreneur in a way. Every time somebody says that, oh, you're a serial entrepreneur. I don't eat cereal.
Right.
I make eggs. But
Right.
it's a dis-ease. I've said this
Yes.
before. You are in a state of dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a disease,
Yep.
but kind of a good disease.
Yep.
You
Yep.
want to always do something to
Yeah.
bring you joy, to
Yep.
build, to grow. And you're doing that.
Yep.
And it must feel, as you said,
Yep.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It
And where
does.
do you see yourself going? And what would you advise? I'm going to put it in two questions.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself going?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you advise people, students just entering the workforce, people who are unhappy and want
Mm-hmm.
to do something else? How would you advise them
Yeah.
from your perspective to go? I mean,
Yeah.
what is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, I think the first question about where do I see myself or my company going is definitely leaning into one of the things that I've been asked to and aligns to the work that I do as a professor, but asked to kind of work with organizations more on now is really like the future of leadership, right? So early in my career, I was focused on young people's future, like the future and how they get to their careers and that part of the
Right.
future. And now I'm focused on folks who are in their moment as a leader and what they need to do to think about what the future of leadership looks like. Because as you know, it's going to look very different, especially in this age of AI and all of this automation. And leadership, I think, is going to require something very different from people. There's definitely going to be a more intense need for ethical leadership, for folks to tap into their emotional intelligence in a really strong way. Because as you have people who are working even more remotely than they are now, and teams that may consist of less people but more automated systems, you're going to have to be able to understand how to create community within those spaces if the business is going to be successful. So like I think that's kind of the future. If I think about
yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, if I think about your second question, what would I tell other folks? I mean, young people, I would definitely tell them to think about building on their, what we used to call their, in addition to learning about the tech that's emerging, but really tap into those things that we used to call like soft skills. I've always called them power skills, but those things that can be transferable. Because once they get the technical piece down, if they are able to think critically, if they are able to make good decisions, if they're able to be thoughtful and regulate their emotions so they're not running all over the place,
it's important. That's
yep.
very important.
Yep, they'll be able to make some clear decisions because we don't really know what the careers are going to look like in the future. We know that it'll change. We know that there will be some careers that will likely be almost eliminated, if not completely eliminated. And we know that there'll be some that emerge that we don't even know what to call them yet. And so I think young people need to be very open to what the future may bring. And I think the people who are currently in the space where I am or you are, like as a leader now or entrepreneur, they really need to be thinking about what shifts they need to make in order to be ready for the future. The future is not 50 years from now. The future is now.
You're right. The future's now. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
the next day.
Yeah.
It happens so fast.
Yeah.
The speed of which we
Oh, my
change
goodness.
is crazy.
Yeah.
In a good way. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's bad, but you hit on something about emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that technology, in my estimation,
Yeah.
AI,
Yeah.
computer generated intelligence, and all that stuff, will never be able to do is have emotional intelligence
That's right.
in the sense of
Yeah.
interconnecting with people.
Yep.
You know, it may spew out all this other stuff,
Yep.
but how you relate to people
Absolutely.
is very important. And I think there's a need
Mm-hmm.
to see what the future will hold and to help people direct to that future, which
Yep.
is what you do.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I agree with you about the emotional intelligence. I mean, even if I think about like our relationship, the way that we just started talking, there is an energy around your emotions, right? That how you
Correct.
show up. And it's how we build partnerships. It's how entrepreneurships grow. It's how businesses grow. You have to be able to relate to the people that you are serving or interacting with or partnering with or having discussions with,
Yeah.
you know? And that's why I think the emotional intelligence piece is going to be critical in these next, I don't even want to say few years. I want to say few hours, few minutes.
You're 100% right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the speed of change
Yeah.
has become so rapid
Yeah.
that, like you said, the future's now,
Yep.
and now, and now,
now, yep.
and now,
Yep.
and getting people to relate,
Yeah.
teaching them how to relate.
Yep.
There is this almost paradox of looking at your phone and your screen and relating in a way that's almost mechanical,
Yep.
and then taking that and going out into a business world that's not mechanical. So you spend all this time being mechanical, then you go out there and you're not mechanical, and if you don't have the skills, the aptitude
Yeah.
to interact with people on an
Yeah.
emotional basis, a lot of people are lost.
Yep.
You teach them what to do,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I definitely, I try to get folks to understand where they are first, kind of like I would probably call myself a GPS, right?
Yeah.
Like understand where they are, help them to identify where they want to be, and then work with them to develop the strategies they need along the way. And what I find is that emotional intelligence, the critical thinking, especially for leaders, when cultures are kind of falling apart, and I think it's going to happen more often than not now as we automate, as folks are trying to automate more
Sure.
things. Sometimes leaders are so focused on the bottom line that they don't think about where where their people are and what their people are experiencing and how we get people to do the things that we need them to do. And so that's the work that I do, like try to be this GPS for them to help
That's a
them get
great
from
way.
where they are to where they want to be.
It's a great analysis, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I like
it.
the GPS
I
thing.
like that one too.
Yeah, it's good. It's come from technology,
Absolutely.
but then it comes down to
Yep.
intelligence, emotional
Yep.
intelligence. What are the biggest fallbacks you see? What are the problematic situations that people run into?
Yeah, I think one of the problematic things that people run into is making assumption that people are okay all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like work is work. Like people are like, there's no crying in baseball. Like there's no emotions at work. And I think that is like a fundamental misrepresentation because people don't stop being people because they came to work, right?
Right, of course.
And when leaders are like, well, as long as they just need to get the job done, right? We don't have time for emotions. But if we don't tap into at least understanding where people are, they have families, they have lives, there are things going on all around them. They're just humans. You know, it's one of the things that I say when I do trainings and in meetings, when I kind of set the norms in the beginning, I'm always like, be human first.
It's
Like
true.
little things. If you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. If you need to eat something, eat something. You know, like don't take this and make it so formal that you're not open to learning. Because that's the other
Right.
thing. Like you know this too, right? Like when we are in that when students are in that performance stage, when they're trying to perform, they don't learn while they're performing. I'm always like,
That's
you're not
correct.
on stage. I want you to be in the learning zone, not the performance zone.
It's a great point. You know, there's a lot of performative stuff out there now, and that
Absolutely.
really has to change. You got to
Yep.
be a person first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's interesting. We've talked around this,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just having a discussion with my wife about this, about the difference between happiness and contentment.
Mm.
See, uh, happiness is like this.
Yep.
Contentment is like this.
Yep.
You know, and
I would agree.
I should explain that, because if you're not watching this on YouTube and listening to it on Spotify, happiness has its peaks and valleys.
Yes.
Contentment is like when you're on a mountain and you see the plain in front of you, or the the plane, not the airplane, but the
Like the
but
horizon.
but
just
yeah,
straight.
yeah, yeah, it's just
straight.
it's straight. It's calmness. It's contentment, and contentment almost supersedes happiness. To me, anyway. It's great to be happy, don't get me wrong, but overall, if you can be content, that's pretty cool. You know, you stay in a mellow place. Doesn't mean you're not going to get angry at times, or happy at times, or sad at times.
Yeah.
But if you can be content, but you have to learn how to be content.
Yeah, and I think that the contentment in a way has to be at a level. It's almost like contentment has levels, right? And it does I don't recommend for folks to be in a space of contentment that is just meeting the status quo.
Oh, correct.
But a space of contentment that is pretty high up, right? That you can navigate life in the world in a way that doesn't have you losing your mind every single moment of the day, right? And that you can kind of you can find harmony. I don't believe in balance, but you can find harmony in the joy and the disappointment and the anger and the happiness and the
It's a great way of putting it.
yeah.
It's almost to the degree of rising above things,
Yep.
but knowing that they're there
Yep.
and being able to view them and say, I'm not happy about this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
relax behind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were talking about your students, and when you teach, tell me and us about what you teach in the classroom
Yeah. Well,
at the university level, correct?
yeah, I teach at the university level, and I teach two particular strands of work because they align with my passion, right, and the things that bring me joy. And one of them is a critical thinking course, which actually the theme of the critical thinking course is civics. So you can imagine how engaging that is in these days and times.
Whoa.
But what makes it exciting is that we do focus on the critical thinking aspect of it, right? So it's not just about what does the Constitution say and what are politicians and what are the branches of the government. It's not just about that, but it is about how do you understand things? How open are you to learning more about it? Are you believing? I mean, I ask my students all the time when they state a fact. I'm like, is that a fact? Who told you it? Why do you believe it? That's my thing all the time. Why do you believe that? Like literally you said today is Wednesday. How do you know it's Wednesday? What if the person that designed the days of the week really screwed up and today is really Tuesday? You just believe it's Wednesday because everybody said it was Wednesday? And so I get to do that kind of stuff, which I love. And we get to really dig into, some of the things may seem normal to folks, but just like in social media, like all the ways and spaces that the young people are getting information now. And I'm trying to get them to use their critical thinking skills to understand that they're not always factual. They're all based from somewhere. That we have beliefs that are ingrained in us from our families, our communities, society, our political beliefs, whatever they are, our religious beliefs, and how do we challenge all of those things so that we can continue to learn. So that's the one course I teach.
Yeah.
And I love that course. And then I also recently developed a leadership course for the university that is human-centered leadership for social impact. And so it's really about how do we become leaders that are human-centered, that put ethical thought and practice and emotional intelligence. I'm trying to think what else, but as a part of their leadership journey so that they can develop the skills now that they'll need in the future, especially for folks who want to be in a space where they're trying to impact society and culture in some way.
And that goes back to emotional intelligence.
Goes back to emotional intelligence.
It's interesting. The first answer that you gave me about your teaching brings up the fact that we all have biases.
Absolutely.
Everybody has biases.
Absolutely.
And I'll never forget, I was talking about whatever it was, war. We have constant wars in the world, different wars, and this, I think, was Ukraine and Russia. And then, but I wanted to hear what my students had to say, and I knew that I like to challenge their facts. Tell me, but as you said,
Yep.
and then I had a student that was. We also talked about immigration, and she was quoting a news source, and I said to her, "What was the news source?" And she told me. I said, "Have you ever looked at where that news source comes from?" Because I knew, as almost all news sources, that there was a very specific bias from that news source.
Yep.
And I said to her, look at the history of that news source,
Yep.
and then tell me if they have a bias or not. And that was a question she wasn't expecting, because they did have a bias, so I knew that. And that's the kind of stuff you're talking about. That you were just
absolutely, and that ironically, that's one of the classes we do is about bias, and especially as it relates to the information we receive from news sources. And my thing is, in our class, I am definitely not trying to encourage them to believe one thing or the other.
correct.
However, I am trying to get them to understand the big picture so that they can make more informed decisions for themselves, right? And so if we have a media bias chart and you can plot, where all of the news sources are on any side of the scale, and just know that exists, right? And then use that to inform what you believe when you hear something somewhere.
That is a great point. Have a chart that says, this is far left, this is far right, this is farther right, that's further left, this is sort of in the middle, but leans this way. And the students, I'm sure, look at it and go, oh, I never thought of it that way. It's very interesting. And when the students are done and the class is over, what do they say?
I think they say, I actually get, I'm brag a little bit that I get pretty good evaluations. My students love my class. But I think they say, one, that I push them to think beyond what they thought. And the other thing they say, which I value, is that I create a safe space for them to do that, right? That I never criticize or judge, even if you have an opinion that I might not necessarily agree with, right? It's not about my opinion. It's about how do I help you understand the big picture and how that influences the decisions you make.
That's true. That's great. When you get that kind of feedback, it means they're learning.
Yeah.
You know? And and as you move them forward,
Mm-hmm.
you probably hear from them later, but
Mm-hmm.
what's your goal for them? What's your goal for you as it relates to students or anybody, people in corporations? Because it's not just, and by the way, students in universities
Could be adults.
could be, yeah,
They're
they're
adults.
20, 22, 30,
Yep.
40, 50, 60.
Yep.
I've had students that, are in their 60s, as you have, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're thinking about kids.
Right.
They're not little kids.
Right.
They are adults
Yep.
that take what they have learned,
Yeah.
how you have taught them to think or rethink,
Yep.
okay, and take it home, take it
Yeah.
to their businesses, take it to their companies, take it to their families,
Yeah.
okay, and how do you see, or what do you want to see them accomplishing?
I think at the core of what I want to see is a transformation from a quart to a gallon, right? Like I think
Wow.
about building capacity. And I think a lot of times when students come into my class, they kind of might be at the quart size because they have information that they believe and understand as it is. And it's kind of quart size. And I want to push them to be gallon size so they can ingest and interpret more information, right? So that they can make their decisions for the rest of their life based on having more information, more data, right? I say everything is data. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything is data. And the more
Right.
data you have, the better and more informed your decisions are. So I think that's my goal. I think that the other part of it is I want them to be confident in doing it, right? We do a lot of discussion, and most of my classes are mostly discussion based. And I want the students that come through my classes, to be confident in being a quart, a half gallon, or a gallon. Be confident in being able to talk about your ideas and opinions with people. Be confident in being able to disagree without it blowing up and turning into a major thing, right? It's okay
Yeah.
to disagree.
It is.
It's okay to have different ideas and opinions, and I want you to be confident in that.
As I heard somebody say on the radio, I think it was Anthony Gargano, or a guest he had on a sports talk station. He said, it's okay to disagree without being disagreeable.
That's right. That's right.
Now,
Yep, that's right.
that's all we need. But the other thing is, and you're attacking it, which is a good thing, is the pervasiveness,
Yeah.
ubiquity of ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live in to me, I'm not going to say a substantial amount of the people are ignorant.
Yep. I agree.
That doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
Right.
They can be very intelligent
Right.
and very ignorant.
Yep.
And I've mentioned this before, but ignorance is to ignore
Yep.
facts,
Yep.
so that they stay quart size.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier to stay quart size.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
harder to stay
Yeah.
gallon size.
Yeah.
But in the end, when you filled up that gallon jug,
Yep.
you're much more of a person.
Yep. I
You're,
agree.
You've influenced yourself and
Yeah.
maybe others.
Yeah. I
and,
agree.
And I think the sad part of ignorance is there are people who stay ignorant their entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
and,
true.
and with our social media banging away at 12-second sound bites and people screaming and yelling at each other, I see too much screaming and yelling.
Yeah. 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 I agree. I think that I get disappointed in a way. And maybe that's why I want my students to be confident in being able to disagree and not be disagreeable, because I definitely see that on social media. Like anytime someone posts something that folks don't agree with, if you go to the comment section, I'm like, well, this person is a horrible person because you don't agree with what they said.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, it's y'all sensitive right here, right? Like, how do you be able to have dialogue because you need dialogue and conflict or disagreement in order to grow and create new things. But it doesn't have to be so contentious, or you don't have to be so disagreeable, right? Just because you don't agree with someone.
I think conflict can be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a book called The Five Dysfunctions of a
Yeah,
Team.
yeah, I have that book.
Right? Yeah, I use it in my graduate course. And the whole premise of it
Yeah.
is that it's okay to have conflict. That's how you learn.
Yep. Yep.
And if you haven't learned from the conflict,
Yep.
it's a shame, but
Yeah.
in the book, it's adios.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That used to be actually one of my favorite books. When I went to school, I went back to school. We didn't even talk about this. I went to school as an adult. So, I told you I went to Temple. I'm a Temple alum. I went back to school as an adult. When I graduated from high school, I went away. I went to Old Dominion in Virginia. And
Old Dominion University.
yeah,
Right.
I was there for a year. Then I think I was like in love, or I thought I was in love or something. And I came back to Philly. And then we broke up, and then I went back to Old Dominion. Like, I was just running back and forth. And so maybe after a couple of years of doing that, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to go. I'm just, so I dropped out of college. And my parents were devastated, right? And I was like, I'm going to go to cosmetology school. And my parents were like, what? But I had really enjoyed art. And so I used to like paint these really intricate designs, and I would do them on nails and stuff like that. And I just wanted to be able to do that. So I went to cosmetology school. I wound up opening my own business. So I opened my own business when I was my first business when I was 21, and it was a nail salon and skincare salon. And
In Philly?
in Philly, yeah. And I did that for some time, like off and on. I've had total 3 different salons. And so I kind of did that. But somewhere along the way, I realized that I needed to go back to school. I wanted to be able to have some type of career. My family was growing. I got married. I had some bonus children and had my own child and had another child.
I like the way you put that, bonus children.
Yeah, they're my
That's great.
bonus children. My husband and I together, we have 7 children.
Wow.
And so our son is the only one we have together. He's the one that went to Central.
Right. That's great.
But when I decided to go back to school, I went back to Temple and finished my bachelor's degree. It was a little weird, right? I was a little older than a lot of the students in the undergrad program. They were like sleeping in class, and I was like, what are you doing? This is so important right now. But I had also been through some things by that point.
Sure.
So I did the undergraduate program in organizational development, and then I did a conflict resolution certificate because I thought that I was fascinated by conflict, this notion of conflict. And I thought I wanted to be like a mediator or ombudsman or something like that, so I could help mediate conflict. But then I just decided to stay, and I stayed, and I did my graduate degree in organizational development too, and
That's
adult
what
learning.
your master's is in? Organizational development. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then I want to go back a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So you built this nail business, cosmetology business, right? How long did you have that?
I had the first one maybe 3 or 4 years, and I had another one 3 or 4 years. Like I feel like I've always had a business. I had my last salon during I purchased the salon in 2018.
Wow, it's recent.
It wasn't my goal to be an operator in the business. I had an opportunity to purchase a business that was already established, and I felt because I knew the business, it would be a good opportunity for me just to be an owner. But that didn't happen because COVID happened. And some of my technicians got sick, and like it was all over the place. And I wound up trying to like be in the business, work the business, and I had a full-time job, so it got a little hectic. And so I closed that business during COVID.
That's a shame.
And decided that wasn't really my jam anymore. It's not that I didn't love it, right? But
Right, I get
right?
it.
Like this dis-ease around entrepreneurship, right? I
Exactly.
love entrepreneurship. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, even though I've always had a career.
So you went from nails and cosmetology,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Back to school.
Yep.
And this is a lesson for everybody, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, you're in this business, you like this business,
Yeah.
but it's just not what you want to do,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
you like it now, it's paying the bills, it's
Yeah.
doing all this, but you sort of, you want something else. There's something
Yeah.
there. It's funny, but again, my daughter, as I told you,
Uh-huh.
Connie, she was explaining this just recently.
Uh-huh.
You want to, there's a joy that you want, a
Yep.
passion that you want. And you went after it.
Yeah.
What was it that, like you said, okay, that's it? What was the spark?
You know what, Dan? I don't even know. I think my mother and I just had this conversation a few weeks ago where she told me that one of the things she was talking about me to someone else, and one of the things that she admired about me the most was my confidence in changing my mind.
That is a beautiful thing.
And I was kind of like, huh. And she's also said that, like, I as a child, I loved puzzles.
Right.
And I would do puzzles consistently until I could, like, do them with my eyes shut. And then I wasn't interested anymore.
I get it. I get it.
And in a way, some of that feels like my entrepreneurship journey. Like, I do the thing until I become an expert. And then I'm like, okay. Because I think while I want to contribute to the growth of the world, and I love building capacity in people, I also love learning at the same time.
This is such a great lesson for so many people out there
Yeah.
that are like playing with things in their mind.
Yeah.
You know, I'm happy with what I'm doing, but I'm not content.
Mm-hmm.
There's something missing. I like it. I like the people I'm working with,
Yep.
but it's not bringing me constant joy.
Yep.
And you figure that out.
Yep. And the other part of that, I think, Dan, is that the joy is different in different places in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what brought me joy and contentment in my 20s is not the same thing as in my 30s, is not the same thing as in my 40s. And as you know, with just kind of career trajectory changes, there are some people who really want to go and work at a place and be at that place for 20 and 30 years. And I just wasn't that person. And I knew early that I wasn't that person. And I knew that I was going to have to take risks, be willing to fail, that I was going to have to just kind of keep moving, right? Just don't stop. Like some things didn't work. Like one of my businesses, it did okay, but I wasn't really generating any income. I was paying multiple mortgages. I mean, I was paying a lease on the building, my mortgage, like double bills. Like there was no revenue, right? I was just breaking even. And I had to make a decision and say, you know what, maybe this isn't the thing for me right now. And now at this space in my life, I mean, I have the gray hair like you, and people are like, oh, you retired from your career. I'm like, no, I didn't retire. I quit. So that's what I mean. I'm not retired yet. But part of my joy was also, part of my desire for joy was also being able to have a lifestyle where I could have a bit more control over the things that bring me joy, right?
That was the dis-ease before you got to the ease. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
And who knows what the next dis-ease will
Yeah.
be. But
Who
we
knows
don't
what the
know.
next disease will be?
But you had that cosmetology business, so I can ask you something. Is my beard on straight? I always ask that. Is my beard on straight?
It's on as straight as your hair. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's like, I know that there are cosmetology companies that do waxing, and I was going to say, can you wax this? I need some wax on my face. But it's the story of life. We talk about our ventures, as you've done. We talk about our growth, what we want to do with our lives.
Yep.
But the intricacies of getting there, not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't talk about the failures.
Yeah.
And success is built on failure.
Absolutely.
every entrepreneur out there, any entrepreneur
Yeah.
who hasn't failed is probably a liar.
Yep. Absolutely. Not problem. I would take it further than that. I might lean a little bit more to definitely, but I don't want to make any assumptions.
Right. So there's always failure.
Yep.
And in the end, you have to look at failure in life as well.
Yeah.
People get married and then they get divorced.
Yep.
And then sometimes they get married again.
Yep.
And then they get divorced.
Yep.
And sometimes they get married again.
Yep.
And hopefully don't get divorced.
Yeah.
They won't. But I'm talking from my own perspective for those of you who know me. And you learn each time. You just learn about things. So when you're thinking to my listeners and my viewers, and in this case, our viewers, realize that you can lose and still win.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's the way of life.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this earlier in the work that I was doing. The work that I did in the post-secondary readiness space was extremely valuable. I think the thing that I walked away with, apropos to this conversation, and the thing that I always thought should be at the forefront of what we teach young people as they navigate how to get to their careers, is how to use the on and off ramps. Because life does not, it's not one smooth road, right? Like we just talked about it. You heard a little bit of my story.
Right.
There's times I had to get on, I had to get off, and those on and off ramps are where we need to use those critical thinking skills, those resiliency skills, those agency, how we have self-advocacy, how we fight for ourselves when we really need to get something done, or when we really want to do something that we may be afraid to do, right? Those are the skills that I think are at the forefront of what we should be teaching young people and adults, in a lot of cases.
Adults are just children who are older.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. I mean, someone make the same mistake a million times.
Absolutely.
And I tell my friends and my students, it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Just don't learn how to keep doing the same mistake. Okay? It's the Einstein thing.
Yep.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yep.
So going through life, you're helping people.
Yes.
And yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've realized that this is what you love to do.
Yep.
You love helping people. We need more people to help people in this world. And the beauty of it is that you really are helping people.
Yeah.
And you're growing yourself, and you're helping them grow. So, Allie, how do people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you or set up a time?
Yeah.
How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think probably the quickest way is through my website. The website is www.allierrogers. So it's ALIRROGERS.com.
Say that again. There's 2 R's in there, right?
There's 2 R's in there.
Because there's a middle name.
Because it's Robinson Rogers. Right? So it's www.allirrogers.com.
Okay.
So that's the website, and I can always be emailed at allierrogers.com as well.
That's great.
You can follow me on Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle?
_Coach Allie.
Oh, the underscore, not the under.
Right, like the THE _Coach Allie.
Okay.
Or on my LinkedIn, it's Allie R. Rogers.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Allie, this has been a pleasure.
I know. I'm so glad I came.
It's great.
So grateful that you allowed me to come and have this conversation with you.
I'm grateful that you said that you would come and that you're here. And I know that our viewers and our listeners have gained insight and wisdom.
Yep. Wisdom is important.
So thank you very much.
Yep.
Again, Allie. And don't forget to subscribe.
Push that button.
Push that button. And you can follow me on Bearded Brilliance on TikTok, Bearded Brilliance for You on Instagram, and of course, Dan G for You Too on YouTube. Dan G, the number 4, the letter U, the number 2 on YouTube, and Digging for Gold on Spotify.
Yep.
So thanks again. We'll see you next time on Digging for Gold. Allie,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.